When you're an American Express Platinum card member, don't be surprised if you say things like,
"Chef, what course are we on? I've lost count."
Or,
Shoot that!
And even,
Checkout's not until 4, so...
Because the American Express Platinum Card offers access to exclusive reservations at renowned restaurants, elevated experiences at live events, and 4 p.m. late checkout at fine hotels and resorts booked through Amex Travel. That's the powerful backing of American Express. See how to elevate your experiences at americanexpress.com/withAmex. Terms apply.
As a professional welder, Shayna Ford uses Forge FX to practice over and over, which helps her improve her skills.
The more muscle memory that you have, the smoother your weld is.
Learn more at meta.com/metaverseimpact.
If debit is your go-to card, Discover thinks it's time you get rewarded too. So, check out Discover Cashback Debit, a game-changing checking account with cashback on everyday debit card purchases. That's right, cashback isn't just for credit cards anymore. Whether it's a movie date, flea market find, or midday latte, you can start earning cash back. And did I mention there are no fees, period? Check out transaction eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Watch what happens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that happens? Watch what happens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that happens? Hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me today is the one and only Mr. Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How's it going?
Hi.
You look happy.
I'm so
look
happy.
as a clam.
How are you?
I'm very, very happy. I'm a very happy person. Today we are talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The reunion part 2, very exciting. Also, so we were going to do Summer House as the bonus. I think we even announced that earlier this week, but it turns out that Miami is not going to be airing until later. Well, it didn't air last night. It's going to air tonight. And we didn't have a screener for Miami, but we did have a screener for Summer House. So we are having Summer House on the main feed, and we'll just do Miami on Monday. So it'll be, our recap will be up on Monday. And then for our bonus this week, we are going to be betting it all on Blonde for Erika Jayne's riveting, fascinating, and insightful spin-off show that shows what happens when someone goes to a rehearsal. So today
For the first time, their rich husband isn't paying for. Very interesting stuff. Now, we were going to completely ignore that because Erica's trash, but I woke up to 2 texts from friends about it saying...
Who, by the way, friends, don't text Ronnie anymore. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Well, I took the notes at least. You just had to watch it. I mean, look, we had to watch it anyway. So it's a Bravo show. We're not going to just not watch it. So, we're just going to talk about it because two friends were like, oh my God, this is so fun. I can't wait to hear what you say. It's so funny. And I was like, okay. And so, I was up at 5 a.m. anyway. I cannot sleep lately. I've stopped taking sleeping aids. And usually that takes a week of addiction. I think that's why I've been so bitchy about drug addiction this week on our show. I've been really bitchy about it as far as like Vanderpump Rules and not Below Deck, Summer House, where I'm just like mad at everybody for being sober and like complaining about sobriety. And like, I've really had a chip on my shoulder about it. Guess why? Because I am a drug addict. And so I'm just recently off of Ambien, and I guess it hasn't been an easy road. So there's my confession for the day. But I cannot fucking sleep to save my life. And so I'm up at 5 a.m. So what else am I going to do? I took a piano class on YouTube, and then I came and I took notes on the least musical thing I could have possibly thought of, which is Erika Jayne.
Hey, you know what? You're having trouble sleeping. I think that turning towards betting it on Blonde is the perfect choice to help you try to, get some Z's. So anyway, we have some live shows coming up. I'm being a real bitch today. We have some live shows coming up in May. We have London and Birmingham and Dublin, and that's going to be late May. And then we have Netflix. Netflix is a joke in Hollywood in May 3rd. So everyone come see us for those. That's at watchwhatcrappens.com. And if you want to hear this bonus episode that we'll be recapping, be sure to join our Patreon, patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens. So that is that. And now we actually have this big Beverly Hills recap, this reunion. So let's dive into it, okay? Should we dive in?
Dive in, Ben.
Okay, I'm going to dive in. So it opens up with Andy talking. Where we're at right now is that Andy and Kyle are, not Andy and Kyle. Kyle and Dorit are talking about their friendship falling apart. So Kyle is like, Andy's like, Kyle, at the celebration of life, I know you welcome the support of the ladies, but at other points of the season, there was a marked distance between you and your friends, especially Dorit. It seems like maybe that began last year, where you said you were disappointed in Dorit for how she handled the Kathy situation at the reunion.
She's like, but they were like coming after me, but then they were like, rah, 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 Kathy. It's like everybody loves Kathy, but like nobody loves me. And I'm mad. That's why I'm mad at Dorit right now. It's like totally Kathy based. Get over it, dude. Like, is your whole life about being miserable and resentful of your more famous sisters? Like, seriously, it's your 13th year, as you reminded us, or your 12th year, whatever. Fucking get over it, Kyle. Okay? You have Ambien left.
Yeah. Seriously.
Get the fuck over it. I don't want to hear it from you, okay? I'm just going to keep projecting my anger for my own life onto other shows, and you're getting it today, okay? And also, that's not the point. This is a perfect example, this episode, is of Kyle deflecting, refusing to take responsibility, and blaming everybody else and being the biggest fucking victim. I mean, is there a religion opening? Like, are you really competing for the biggest martyr in the world? How are you turning into you dumping Dorit into Dorit saying one nice thing to Kathy at the reunion? Come on.
Yeah, I was like, Ronnie's gonna have a field day with this episode, just because Kyle was being so Kyle, and the way Kyle. And like, she's like, well, I'm sorry, maybe I just want to pull away. Maybe like the way again, like the champion of open and honest, now declaring that sometimes she just wants to pull away and be alone. It's like, okay, this is peak Kyle right here.
And so she's like, Kathy. And Dorit's like, whoa, so you think that I'm kissing Kathy's butt? That is the most hysterical thing, Kyle. And Dorit's like, listen, I was only trying to make you see that Kathy wanted you to take some responsibility. It's like one line in the reunion. And then Garcelle's like, oh, do you ever just say I was wrong? Okay, you're not wrong, Garcelle. Dorit never says she's wrong, but Kyle also never says she's wrong. And right now, Dorit is against Kyle, and I need some support for Dorit. And less making this about you and Dorit. This has nothing to do with you and Dorit. You already read Dorit for filth and won that argument. Exactly. Okay? Let Dorit win this one, because I need Dorit to win this one. Okay? Stay out of this one, Chris.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I also feel like Garcelle now, I mean, you read Dorit for filth. So now go read Kyle for filth. Like in fact, you started down this process this season. Now is your time to do some finishing moves. Okay. Like, why are we the only two people, it feels like, who see the hypocrisy in Kyle? Well, we're not. I think when I say I think a lot of our audience does feel this way too. I don't know why I just acted like we're part of the reunion, but like, why can't they see the hypocrisy the way we see it so clearly?
I don't know, but it's annoying because Kyle is basically, she's taking this whole like, well, Sutton attacked me all season. Well, that was Garcelle. I mean, the moment she's talking about that party, were Garcelle and Sutton together, working in tandem, which, by the way, we'll get to, and they were in the right anyway, in my opinion. But it was them working in tandem, but the only one that Kyle is pissed off at is Sutton. For some reason. Right. And so Garcelle keeps trying to get in here, but for whatever reason, Kyle won't argue with Garcelle, only Sutton, which I find kind of funny because Garcelle was way more offensive in that situation than Sutton was, I thought, if you're from Kyle's perspective.
Yeah, but Sutton was the one who actually broke the internet. So that's why Kyle is mad. It's like you had a social media moment that everyone loves, and everyone continues to love Sutton. Even though, like, I'm the one supposed to be having a sympathetic storyline, I'm supposed to be the next Ariana. But for some reason, Sutton comes out of this with everyone saying name him, and everyone loves Sutton. So that's what Kyle's really pissed about.
Isn't that funny? Who knew Ariana would get to this point? I mean, Ariana is like the most popular costume at Bravo's Party City at this point, or Halloween City or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like every Bravo star just wants to be Ariana for the season.
It's true. So anyway, so Kyle's like, well, you know, another thing that bothered me about this, like, oh, so I'm allowed to speak on my own behalf. Okay. So Andy's like, all right, Kyle, well, I want to move on to something else. I want to talk about your sobriety. It's been about 1.5 years. Is that right? How does it feel? And she's like, oh, Andy, it feels amazing. It's not like I have a problem or anything. So you think like, well, why would it change? Why would the change affect you so much? But there's just like something about it that like really changes you. It's like the world looks so different when you're not viewing it from the floor with your legs in a split.
It's so crazy. It really changes you, Andy, which is why I have a totally new face this season. Completely different face. Now, listen, I'm all for people going sober. I'm currently sober. And it's fine. It really hasn't changed that much about me, except that I'm more bored on the weekends. I will say that people who talk about it this much probably do have a problem because you've made it too much of your personality to not have a problem with it, okay? Stop making this your whole personality. She's like, I don't have a problem, but I'm going to mention it every 5 seconds that I don't have a problem with it, you know? I'm just saying re-examine it or shut up. So then Andy's like, so Dorit, how much do you think Kyle's sobriety is influenced by her new friendship with Morgan? And Dorit's like, well, you change. First of all, the answer is she's completely ripping off Morgan just like she's ripped off everybody else more popular than her in her life, okay? Evidence, pink swing in the backyard. And multiple dogs for no reason. Yeah. So Dorit's like, well, you changed your lifestyle. You're not drinking. You've got friends that don't drink. And I understand how Morgan can play a role in that regard. But I don't think that she influenced Kyle to stop drinking. Yes. So she didn't tell her to stop drinking, but Kyle's copycatting her. Why don't you just give a real answer, Dorit? That's your problem, you know? It's like you pussyfoot around. Just say it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is hard here is that like Kyle's like, I don't have a problem. That, you know, I didn't stop drinking because I had a problem, which I believe. But then she's also surprised at the idea that like, oh, you're changing all these things in your life all of a sudden. You're having like a clear life change. I won't say midlife crisis because that she might not be in crisis, but she's definitely having a midlife shift. But she sort of like acts surprised at this idea. But I do think that she is, I think that she's fully copycatting Morgan. I don't think that she did it because of Morgan.
She's like copying her style, her hair, her tattoos, her not drinking, her like working out all the time. She's literally copying every single thing about this person.
Yeah, she just decided this is the new personality that I want to have, and I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to draw a little Kimosabi hat on my elbow. You know who was at Kimosabi, by the way, yesterday, I believe? Ramona's singer, okay? She had to go there, okay? She had stored her hat incorrectly, so one half of her hat was sticking up, her cowboy hat. She's like, so I came here to get my hat fixed, okay? And now I'm like, Kimosabi's, all right?
I forgot what we were talking about with Kyle. Okay, but
Morgan,
anyway, so then Olivia. Oh, I think part of it that Kyle. I think part of the reason Kyle is getting so mad at that because she is being copied. She is being called out on copying Morgan flat out on the internet, at least. But I think one of the reasons she's offended is because it takes away like her personal wins. Like it takes away the credit of her quitting drinking on her own, and it gives the credit to somebody else. Like, oh, you're only copying a person that's better than you, which I can kind of get. You know what I mean? So then Andy's someone named Olivia Stabler on Twitter, which is kind of a mashup of the names on Law and Order SVU, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, why does this person sound familiar? Is this someone that we're supposed to know? That must be what it is.
Because it's Benson and Stabler, I think, on there. Why are they? Yes. Why are they invoking Law and Order SVU in Beverly Hills?
I mean, was this just Mariska Hargitay?
Mariska from Hargitay says, everyone's being mean about Kyle's sobriety. Garcelle, what's your response? Are you mean? Are you mean to Kyle?
Bum, bum. Garcelle like, no. I don't think
in the criminal justice system, one side of the stage is mean to Kyle, and the other side of the stage is really mean to Kyle. Dum, dum.
Law and Dorit.
You're mean.
Lon, open and honest. Or
Mean
open and
meaner.
honest.
The Kyle version.
Bum, bum, dun, 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 dun. So Garcelle's like, well, no, as someone who probably was on this Law and Order at one point, I don't think that we were not on board with it, but every now and then we were like, like, oh, are you really doing this mocktail thing? In jest. Like, didn't really answer that. She's like, of course we were on board with it. We just wanted to make fun of her for this ridiculous choice she made.
And Erica's like, I think if Kyle had a drinking problem, it would have been different, I mean, when someone really has a problem, it's not like I'm making jokes. Like, remember when Crystal was talking about her eating disorder, and I just said, oh, who doesn't have one, honey? I do mine with laxatives. What's the big deal? Why are people so mad? Triggered.
That's so true. Okay, so Garcelle's like, she's like, exactly. And Dorit's like, it wasn't just not drinking. There seemed to be a big shift, Kyle. Like she was working out incessantly and tattoos. It seemed like she had changed quite a bit. Still didn't have a personality though.
I've never had a personality. So why would you accuse me of that? Also, I've been working out since I was... No, you haven't, Kyle. You have not been working out to the degree that you are now ever since you were 15, Kyle. You've been working out ever since you started dating Morgan. Who are you trying to kid? Well, we have a television, ma'am.
Okay, and let's say... Okay, we are now in the courthouse. Judith Light is presiding over this case of Kyle Richards versus the accusations. And let's just say she has been working out since she was 15. But she never talked about it. Well, she says, I never talked about it because I had two sisters that were sticks and I was curvy. So, okay, you never talked about it, but now you're talking about it incessantly. The point is that you are changing. So fine, you've always worked out. So why are you now all of a sudden making it part of your personality? Like, that is the point, that something is going on that's caused this shift. And she acts like it's crazy that people notice this.
Yeah. And she's like, I mean, it's not like I was being reckless or drinking or doing drugs or anything like that. I mean, if I was doing that, we could totally talk about that. Like the thing is, like, I've learned a lot about myself, guys. And Sutton's like, well, you were being reckless because you said I had a drinking problem. Okay, well, you too, Sutton. Okay, people on this show need to stop being offended about completely obvious things. Kyle is offended that people are shocked that she's not drinking. People are allowed to question whether or not you drink, and everybody needs to stop being so I don't care if you were an alcoholic up until 5 minutes ago and you've just made it 5 minutes of not drinking. It's not going to kill you for somebody to say, you're not drinking? How come? Like, let's grow up. Okay, let's be fucking adults about it. You can, if you're tackling alcoholism, you can certainly handle a couple of insensitive idiots in your life. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, while we're talking about being able to handle obvious things, Sutton, you drink a lot to the point where you're kind of falling down and making an ass out of yourself a lot. You can't drink that much and then get offended. You're going to survive.
Thank you. So, thank you. And I say this as a Sutton fan, and I say this as an alcohol fan. I've always said this, which is like, just because you drink, just because you enjoy to throw some back, does not mean you're an alcoholic. But by the way, if you get sloppy, if you get drunk all the time, people are going to ask questions, and and if you get sloppy all the time, people are going to lose respect for you. I'm not saying Sutton gets sloppy, but the point is this: you can't just do any of these things, not drink or drink, in a vacuum. I'm sorry, you can't. And you can't say, oh, it's my personal choice, I don't have to share it with you. Well, the thing
people
is
are going to talk, right?
But people are impacted.
People are going to talk, and they're going to say things, and you're going to have to just get the fuck over it. Like, what can I tell you? People are going to speculate whether you're drinking or whether you're not, or if you lose weight, are you on Ozempic, or if you have a drink, are you an alcoholic, or if you smoke drugs, or if you smoke some weed one time, are you a drug addict? Everyone's going to have an opinion. Fuck them. What are you going to do? Go enjoy yourself. The thing making it a big deal is you guys. Sutton's bringing it up constantly that she's an alcoholic. I don't think I would have ever thought of it again. But Sutton brings it up every 5 minutes that it's this horrible thing that Kyle said she drinks too much. Yeah. And Kyle brings up every 5 minutes everything she wants them talking about so she could be so offended. And one of them is this not drinking alcohol thing. Kyle, no one would say anything about it if you weren't like, oh, hi, it's so good to be at this bar, but I'm not not drinking. I would love a mocktail. Is that a mocktail? Does that have caffeine in it? Okay, I'm going to order the onion rings. Does that have caffeine in it? I mean, not caffeine, alcohol. Sorry, this isn't Salt Lake City. Do these onion rings have alcohol in them? Because I'm not drinking.
Are these beer battered? Can they be beer battered in Michelob Zero or whatever? Here's the thing. You don't have to answer the questions. You can say, mind your own fucking business.
Just say mind your own business.
But just don't be surprised. I guess it's like, don't be surprised that people are like, what's going on? Like, wow. Like, don't be surprised that people, if you're carrying a mixer in your bag at all times because you might just be having some alcohol and you don't know when or where it's going to happen, people might call you an alcoholic. You might not be an alcoholic, and you can say, no, I'm not. I just like to always be prepared because I like to have a fun time. That's fine. But don't be shocked that people are like, that's odd, because most people don't carry around emergency mixers in their bags.
And one argument I saw was like, Ronnie, the reason it's bad is because Sutton still has custody of her kids. She's still raising her kids. This could hurt her reputation. Her husband could try and take money from her because she's not called. Okay, well, my answer to that is then don't pull out Ocean Breeze from your purse because it's the only mixer you'll drink with your alcohol. Like, come on.
You're because you are so selective about your alcohol consumption at this point, because you've had so much of it that you know exactly the sort of experience that you want, and you don't want to even be bothered with the other experiences. But you're not. You don't have a drinking problem. Actually, I don't think you have a drinking problem. But you can't.
She necessarily has a drinking problem either.
Just can't act surprised.
I just think like this. Here's the thing that's pissing me off. I just feel like I need to keep explaining myself, but I just want to make it clear.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's fun harping and being mad at nothing.
It's really, I'm like having the best time.
Like, I'm so pissed off, and I don't know why. Like, I have nothing to be mad at. But I just want to clarify. I'm not against somebody for becoming sober, okay? And I'm not against, but here's the other thing. I'm not against people for being alcoholics either. And I think we need to stop fucking criminalizing everybody. Everybody in life that I know has an addiction to something. There is something going on with us. Mm-hmm. It's a drug, it's a food, it's an alcohol, it's a whatever. We need to decriminalize it not the driving part. You know what I mean? We need to destigmatize every little thing. Like it's the worst thing in the world to be an alcoholic. It's not. We all know one or two or three or our family. And we're going to survive it, okay? And it's okay to talk about these things. That's all. Like, leave her alone, even if she is an alcoholic. You don't get to sit there and, like, fucking judge her ass for it every second of the day. And Kyle not being an alcoholic, we don't have a right to sit around and judge her ass every second of the day. Find better things to talk about over a drink.
Yeah, preferably with some grapefruit juice splashed into it.
If you have an Ambien, loan me one, because I could use a night.
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial.
Ophthalmologist Dr. Strauss has seen firsthand how the metaverse is helping surgeons practice the procedures to treat cataracts.
Cataracts are the primary cause of avoidable blindness.
He works with a virtual reality training platform developed by Fundamental VR and Orbis International to help surgeons develop the muscle memory they need. The result? More confident, capable surgeons. And even more importantly,
patients who can see.
Explore more stories like Dr. Strauss's at meta.com/metaverseimpact.
Hey grown-ups, the Cat in the Hat Cast is a new podcast from Wondery, perfect for the whole family. Join the Cat in the Hat and your favorite Dr. Seuss characters as they get whisked away on a new adventure every week. Fish dreams of creating his very own polite and quiet podcast. That is, until he gets a surprise visit to his Fishbowl podcast studio from the Cat in the Hat himself, and it becomes very clear that the cat has other plans for the podcast. And those plans are the opposite of quiet. Sing along to new favorite songs, try your luck at Titanic tongue twisters, have some fun with wondrous wordplay, and most importantly, bring your family along for all of the adventures in the Cat in the Hat Cast. Follow the Cat in the Hat Cast on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to the Cat in the Hat Cast early and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Wondery Kids Plus on Apple Podcasts today.
So Sutton is really she's basically doing the reunion thing, which is that even though this is a segment about Kyle and has she changed, Sutton's going to turn it into a segment about herself because she's saying, I think you were reckless because you said I had a drinking problem that I don't eat. That is reckless in and of itself. Like, no. I'm gonna say that's no. It's not reckless. This is actually like this is bad. Like you can't turn Kyle saying these things. You just can't put it on the same level as of like what we really think of recklessness when it comes to drinking, which is driving or neglecting children or like burning down a house or something like that. Having a snarky comment about the fact that you have ocean spray in your bag, which you do have for all the reasons we just said, is not reckless behavior. I am sorry.
Well, also, the reason she said that, and first of all, I disagree a little just because calling someone an anorexic and alcoholic, like, of course, that's not nice, right? Which is basically what Kyle was doing. So I can understand why she'd be pissed at it. But it was in retaliation to you saying, I mean, look at Kyle. She's working out. Losing all this weight, kind of hinting at Ozempic or whatever was happening at the beginning of the season. And that's why Kyle was like, well, I don't talk about you and you're not you're not eating and then drinking a lot or whatever. So in that instance, it was Kyle kind of retaliating. So you can't be like the biggest victim in the world. I mean, listen, Sutton, I'm standing up for Kyle. When does that ever happen? So you know you're wrong if even I'm standing up for Kyle.
Yeah, I don't think Kyle was being reckless. I think she was being targeting. And in fact, on top of that, Kyle was saying she stopped drinking because she felt she was being reckless. And Sutton's like, like I guess Sutton's saying, no, you're still being reckless, even though you've stopped drinking. But I don't know. I think Sutton just wanted to insert herself so she can start going after Kyle and being like, you accused me of being an alcoholic, which I most certainly am not. Now, who else here could use a cocktail? So Kyle is like,
you know what? That accusation had me shaking. Okay.
Mainly because I just really needed to have a cocktail.
This relationship is now on the rocks. Okay. And if you want to stir up any more trouble, I suggest that you.
I bet you think this is real neat, huh? Real neat.
You can put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay. I moved on. I'll change the dictions.
So Kyle's like, she's like, no, hold on one second. I never said you had a drinking problem. Not one time. She's, but did you bring it up and kind of insinuate it? And she's like, oh, I did. Like, did you or did you not? And Kyle's like, no, you don't do the name thing again. Okay, you already had your moment on the internet. Because today's my day to have an internet moment.
Today I'm going viral. mean. And Sutton's like, I'm just asking you a question. Okay. Well, just to answer this, because Kyle's never going to be truthful. Yes, Kyle was insinuating flat out that you're an alcoholic and an anorexic. But you started it. So just say that so we can move on from this segment.
Yeah. So Kyle's like, let me finish. I'm asking you a question. Let me finish. Then answer it. Let me finish. I never said you had a drinking problem. I actually specifically made a conscious decision to never say something like that. And it's like,
after I called my sister an alcoholic in a limousine on national television, and I got in trouble, and I'm still getting in trouble for it 12 years later. So
she's like, my sister's Kim Richards. I know the difference. Okay, that's what she really should have said. That would have been hilarious.
But it is such a Kyle answer to be like, actually, I never said you were an alcoholic, and I actually had a conversation with myself to not call you an alcoholic. Meaning, you're clearly an alcoholic, and I am purposely going out of my way to not point out that you're an alcoholic on TV.
Right. So that way I can say I never said that, and
even though I'm insinuating it again right now to your face on this.
I mean, maybe you don't remember exactly what I said because you were wasted, and I'm not saying you have a problem or anything, but maybe you were drunk, and maybe it was like 10 a.m. because the first thing that you had in the day. And if anyone wants to say that you have a problem because of that behavior, that's their choice. I'm not saying it.
I just want you to swallow your pride. So they start arguing around this, and Sutton's like, well, you said I'd push my food around and I don't eat it. She's, well, I say it again. Okay, I would say it again. And she's like, well, do you know what that did to me? Did it make you eat a pizza, Sutton? Because otherwise I don't believe you.
To be fair, I think anyone who has Kyle's quote-unquote blackened salmon also probably pushes their food around the plate.
I know.
Has a burger
Kyle
afterwards.
Thinking everybody who comes over has an eating disorder because they refuse to eat her fucking salmon.
You're just a bad cook, Kyle. So, I'm sorry. It's like, I'm sorry that Sutton didn't enjoy the weed-infused food. Like, I'm sorry. So I've never had any of the weed food. I've never had like a cannabis meal. But I honestly can't imagine that's going to taste that good. I'm going to put that out there. I feel like it's going to be one of those things. It's like when people have like a protein bar and they're like, this actually tastes like really good. And then you taste it and it's like garbage. They just say it tastes really good because they have to say it to justify why they are eating them so often.
Well, especially at that weed party, because since everybody was taking different doses, they were just putting it in the butter. I mean, they even said that at some point. Like, that's why we give you this pat of butter. It has this much. So, of course, it's going to taste better to the people with more weed because they had more butter on their food, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I would be pushing around the food there, too, unless I got too high. Well, I guess it's a thing that it's self-perpetuating, right? It tastes like shit, but then you get stoned. And
it's pretty good.
The rest of it.
Well, it's not bad. There's like a hint of, at least whenever I've had it, there's like maybe a hint of it, but it doesn't taste really strong. It just tastes like more
like oregano,
umami, a little more umami to it. So Kyle's like, I mean, okay. So Sutton's like, well, do you know what that did to me? Accusing me of being an anorexic and an alcoholic. I'm a upstanding member of the community. And Kyle's like, what did I ever do to warrant you doing what you did to me at my weed dinner party? You have a lot of everything with Kyle. Is like, oh my God, you started it. The only reason I said this to you is because you hurt me. You were mean.
I know, every single thing. And Sutton's been saying, meanwhile, like, you just start a bunch of seedlings. Seedlings. She's on this, like, seedling tip. Spreading your seedlings around. And Kyle's like, that wasn't a seedling. Okay, it says, oh, that's not a seedling? That you've done nothing wrong? Not a seedling! They're having, like, a seedling fight.
So then Kyle's like, but you were acting like I did something wrong to you instead of saying, are you okay? Do you need a friend? The reason that happened at that weed dinner is because you would not stop begging them to say something about your fucking relationship with Morgan. Nobody was talking about it. You were literally sitting there making them talk about it.
You know, it's amazing that, you know, Kyle does have a point. Like, why didn't, you know, when Kyle is clearly going through an issue with her family, why didn't Sutton come up to her and say, are you okay? Do you need a friend? I mean, think of all the times that Kyle has done that to Sutton. Like the time that Sutton's book was overdue at the library. Kyle was like, need me to drop that book off for you? I'm sure that happened at some point. What are the other times that Kyle checked in on Sutton?
Sutton getting $300,000 a month. I got to go to the library. I really don't want to pay for this book. If I'm not spending one more dollar on Sidney Sheldon. I'm telling you that much.
I don't want to pay a lot. Okay, here are the two things I don't want to pay a lot for: mufflers and books.
Andy is asking Crystal, so was Kyle dropping seedlings about Sutton's drinking? And Kyle interrupts and she's like, what have I ever said about your drinking other than that one time? And well, right now when I was suggesting that, you know, like I've really had to restrain myself from saying something about your drinking. And Sutton's like, I saw y'all were talking in the kitchen about it. And she goes, oh, y'all. How dare you? Leave the y'all out of it, okay? You don't need to freaking region shame the woman.
So Crystal is like, had that been an isolated moment and you guys never talked about drinking again, I would have said no, but I felt there was conversation. Kyle's like, and like, when was the other time? Clarify. Name him. Kyle.
That is officially boring now. Okay, we're all over that.
You're ruining it, Kyle. Crystal's like, I'm just saying that was enough for me to say that.
We see a clip in the kitchen that morning when Dorit's like, well, Sutton's a drinker, and I would not be surprised if she pours a little vodka in her coffee in the morning. And Kyle's like, a little before 10 a.m., and they're like making a joke about it. And so Crystal's like,
by the way.
Like, clear, what?
Right, for sure they should be making jokes about Sutton's drinking. Like, I think that was a totally warranted joke to make. Not saying Sutton has a problem, but like, again, Sutton, I don't know why I'm relitigating this right now. Like, we talked about it all season. But if Sutton's carrying around mixers in her bag, I think people, like, I would probably make a joke about someone pouring booze into their coffee at 10 a.m. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's okay to make jokes about that, and I think it's okay to be pissed off and tell someone to go fuck themselves over it too. You know, I don't know. I don't get all the agita. you know? So then Crystal's like, yeah, I mean, this had to have been a conversation with you guys. And Kyle's like, clarify, when was the other time? And she's like, just because we're friends doesn't mean that what she says, that what Dorit's saying is always what I'm saying too. Okay? And well, except that it is. And Dorit, even now, when she's mad at you, is still parroting everything that you say and towing the Kyle line on every single argument.
Yeah. And Kyle's again like, I never said she has a drinking problem. Those words never came out of my mouth, much like I'm sure a lot of booze did every time that she drinks too much. Son's like, of course they don't. Of course they don't. They wouldn't never come out of your mouth because you're very smart, Kyle. You're very, very smart. You're very clever. You play a good game of chess, which, by the way, I was hoping that moment would be dwelled upon a little bit more, because wasn't that famously what Kyle said to LVP in the season 2 reunion of the show? She's like, I always feel like I'm playing chess with you.
Yeah, she's called her Bobby Fischer.
Yeah. And so now here comes Sutton saying that about Kyle, and Kyle's like, yeah, I mean, I do know that like what I've been dealing with all season long with like the weed dinner and like what people were saying about like my family, and I shared that with all of you right at the gate at the Eagle Woman thing. Okay, guys?
Kyle, you are showing up purposely, like holding up your hand, your wedding ring hand, and like twirling your new ring around to make everybody ask you about the ring. I mean, people barely asked you. You're like begging them to ask. It's so hilarious to me that nobody cares except Kyle. And they're just like rolling their eyes at her. Like, no one cares if you're gay, Kyle. No one cares if you're boning Morgan. Like, nobody has even made any kind of jokey comment about it. You know, the only one I can think of the entire season is Garcelle saying, oh, her and Morgan, I'll bet there's a country song in that. Something like that, which wasn't even that bad.
She is vague booking, as they would say, like posting that thing on Facebook or on social media, like, oh my God, I can't even believe about last night. And then just like hoping that people say, what happened last night? You know, It's basically like a test. In some ways, I think it's actually a test. I think she is seeing who's going to come to her and be sympathetic and who is going to ignore her and who is going to challenge her.
I think she just wants to be popular for 1 second. I mean, she's doing what all of us do. Well, I didn't go to college, but a lot of my friends who were in college did, which is like being bi for 5 minutes. You know, I'm not saying bisexuality is not real, but like, you know, when we all have that friend who was like, did it for 5 minutes, but very demonstrably so that everybody could see. It's like, oh my God, I'm so into girls right now, to like be hotter for that moment. And I feel like Kyle's doing that. She's just doing it in her 50s.
I thought you said when you said she's doing that thing that we all do in college, you were going to say, oh, get wasted and sing along to Chumbawamba. Because that was
you still do that. I don't keep that in college references.
I can't give up the past.
You literally did that last week when I saw you.
I have a very distinct memory of like going to a frat party, being in the basement of this frat, because all the drinking happened in the basements, and that song had just come out, and a girl in glasses lifting her beer up and being like, this is my jam! And she's like, I get knocked down! I get up again! And every other get me down! That's just like, I always think of that. That is like...
Did somebody knock her down? Because that would have been hilarious.
Now, excuse you, that you're being reckless. What are you trying to say? That she has a drinking problem?
Remember when you sang that song accusing that poor girl of falling down in a party?
So what? She drinks a cider drink? She drinks a lager drink?
But the thing was, she got back up again, but then she fell down again. I mean, she kept falling down and getting back up again.
You know that there's probably a good chance that Kathy used to call Kyle Chumbawamba as kids, right? She's probably traumatized.
Forgot her name enough.
It's like, where's Chumbawamba?
Okay, so Kyle's like, she's talking about, Kyle's like, how dare you? I shared it with everybody at Eagle Woman. Don't you remember? And then we see a clip of the Eagle Woman thing at the very beginning of the season when Kyle's like, guys, I would be lying if I didn't say things are kind of difficult sometimes in the past year. Is anybody going to ask me? Nobody did. I would be lying if I said it was really difficult not thinking about my gorgeous woman friend, right? No one's going to ask me anything. It's a woman. Did you hear that she's what? She's a country star? Anybody? Anybody hear country? No, nobody going to ask her name. Do you want her Do you want anybody have Instagram right now? You want to look up her name? Nobody?
I just want to report that later today, I'm going to go to Modell Sporting Goods, and then when I leave, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna probably have to leave there. I'm going to have to leave Modell Sporting Goods. Leaving Mo. Anyone want to read into what I'm saying? Modell. Gotta not go to Mo's.
Is that a new ring? It's like the only thing that anybody notices that Kyle got new jewelry. So she's still trying to make this happen. Still nobody gives a shit. And Kyle's like, I told all of you guys. And Teresa's like, not really. And she goes, yes, I did. And she goes, well, you just said you weren't going to say anything, that your life has been kind of hard. And she's like, oh my God, don't even get me started. And Crystal's like, no, she did. She said she had a hard year. I mean, I was surprised to hear it.
And Sutton and Garcelle are like, oh, well, she said it was the hardest year, whatever. And Teresa's like, but that's exactly what I'm saying. You said we've had a hard year. You didn't say, oh, Mo and I are struggling. You did talk about Modell Sporting Goods, but I don't even know what that is. You also said something about how you're no longer into Dick's Sporting Goods, and I feel like you were trying to make a message about that, but I couldn't quite figure that one out either.
I mean, you did say something about needing to take a vacation to Lady Pond.
Something about, I think you said claim jumper. You're going to claim jumper. Did you say clam jumper, though? I think you missaid it.
So Kyle's like, oh my God, really? So what makes everybody think they're entitled to know about my life? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, please. Where are the editors? Are they sleeping? Can we not get some open and honest clip in here? How have we not had an open and honest montage yet? They really love Kyle too much on this show.
I know. I really wanted to have like a Chinatown moment, like that moment in Chinatown where Jack Nicholson's like shaking Faye Dunn away. And I don't condone violence, but I definitely wanted a moment where it's like, come on, spit it out. Come on, I'm shaking you. I don't know what I'm on today, Ronnie. I don't know how I'm going from Modell Sporting Goods to Chinatown. This is just...
it's a very...
Thank you for being my podcast partner for dealing with this right now.
Listen, I'm over here screaming about alcoholism literally for no reason. I feel like I've pissed off every single person in the audience, no matter what side you're on. No. I just keep vacillating. That's like a it's like a different. That's like a combination of gaslighting and vacillating. But I've just been vacillating from side to side, just furious and not really caring.
At least you don't have
either today.
At least you don't have a mental face swap of Kyle Richards on Faye Dunaway's body with Jack Nicholson shaking her. My sister. She's my sister. She's my daughter. She's my sister. She's my daughter.
I would never put Kyle in a role that big. So Kyle is mad. And so, now I have to say this in Kyle's, not defense, but to Kyle's credit again, she does keep stumping Sutton, which is so funny because Sutton is in that position where she's literally in the position of having first chair, which has got to be super exciting for her, right? Mm-hmm. She's in like the head B chair. And she keeps trying to come for Kyle, but she's not winning. And Kyle keeps eating her alive, and it cracks me up because Kyle's not really good. Like, I feel like Kyle doesn't come out the winner of many reunions, but she is eating Sutton alive.
She does. Sutton goes probably also drunk, let's be honest.
Sutton's like, listen, we all share what's going on in our lives, Kyle. And she goes, no. That is not true. She goes, every one of us. That's true. And Dorit's like, what do you mean by that? And, well, I was going to talk about the part where Kyle's like, oh, please, you got a horse. And what did she say to her?
It's coming up.
But that's the part where she ate her up. This part, she didn't really eat her up because this was just a retread of Teresa's monologue where she's like,
oh, yeah, let me tell you something, baby. I've been on this show ever since it was read from a book because they didn't have TV cameras yet, all right? Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, so she does the whole thing where she's like, I've shown everything. I've shown like everything for 13 years. My daughter, 2-year-old birthday party until like now, whatever. It's like, oh, thank you. You showed what? Thank you for letting us into your life so we could see what a 2-year-old's birthday party was. I feel a lot.
I know. No, I mean, like, thanks for all that deep info we got about your kids aging like it normally happens on fucking television, Kyle. So the only thing you've ever shared is the misery of everybody else in your family, not you. You've shared Kim's life plenty. You had no problem opening up about what a mess Kim was, or, you know, what a bitch Kathy was to you, or any of your friends outing them for all of their crap over the years. But I think you having parties for your children, I really don't know much that you've shared about yourself over the years.
Yes. By the way, sorry if you're hearing the vacuum upstairs. I don't know if you're hearing it or not, but it's probably Kyle trying to like suck up this podcast so it doesn't go live. No, I mean, listen, when someone says you don't share things and you say, look at this carefully manufactured presentation of my life that I've given over the past 13 years, to me, that's like, sure, you've shown us your life, but maybe have you shared your life? I am not sure about that. You know, and especially now
this season, even this whole season with stuff going on with Mo, everything's been hinted at. It's been like a ring that she changed, that she flashes, trying to get people to ask her because she won't talk about it. All she says is, and it took her to the very last episode. Everybody waited the entire season to hear what the drama was, and it took to the very last episode for her to say, "He broke my trust." And that was it. You're still not going to talk about dating Morgan. You're going to wait until the last 5 minutes of this show to do it. You're a fucking burglar. You don't share anything. You're a time burglar. You have robbed us of time. You don't share shit. And then it turns out that it's probably all a big publicity thing anyway for Mo's show, which everything is addressed in the first 5 minutes. So whatever, Kyle.
No, Ronnie, I push back. Now reading this monologue, you're right. She has really opened up our life. You know what? My children, you guys got to see Portia's going to learn how to drive a car next season, okay? That's a preview for next season. Portia's going to drive. She's going to drive. And by the way, don't you remember? I showed you what it was like, the true living experience of getting groceries in a strange 3-wheel car, a novelty car. I shared my life with you guys.
Okay, did you not notice that I changed the names on my luggage? How could you say I don't share things?
Do you remember there was a time when my foyer did not have a pink neon art sign in it, and now it does? That's a share right there.
And Kyle's like, oh, yeah, but you don't talk about anything. You say we're not allowed to talk about Christian because he's so powerful. And Sutton's like, that is an outrageous lie. And she's like, oh, yeah, and then Magic Mike, I guess we can't talk about that.
That's a lie. You are lying right now. You're lying. And so at this point, by the way, Kyle has said, because by the way, Ronnie, you were right. You were at the horse moment. I don't think you realized, but at the end of the monologue ended with Kyle saying, you bought a horse this season and you have a dating coach. Give me a break. It was a good line.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
And so Sutton's mad, but
that's
now Kyle
she got her, yeah. And she's
but Kyle also realizes that she got her, so Kyle really tries to like sell it on us. So she says it about like 10 more times in the span of like the next 2 minutes.
Yeah. And Kyle's like, oh, you think I owe you everything that happens in my life? And she's, it's not that I want you to spill something. We all had questions, Kyle, okay? You have tattoos. You're working out. You made a lot of life changes. We're just asking. She's like, so what? I've not done anything to hurt anybody. Well, how is being a drunk hurting anybody? Or how is having a really rich husband or buying a horse hurting anybody? You're giving her shit for that.
How is saving Lucy apple juice and maybe talking to the press every now and then? How is that hurting anybody? How about that?
Yeah. So Sutton's like, come on, Kyle, you're on a TV show. You've got to understand at some point, Kyle. And she's like, you just came into the season to come after me because you're mean.
As if Kyle being mad that someone may have had an agenda during a season when I literally just invoked the Lucy apple juice season and like really every other season where they've driven someone off of the show.
All right. So Sutton's like, I did not. She goes, oh, what? You just came into this to come after me. Don't act innocent. And so Carl's like, okay, maybe just buying a horse and your cashmere line is like, I don't know, maybe that's not enough for you. So you have to talk about me instead.
Kyle getting mad that Sutton has talked about buying a horse when Kyle's attempted storyline this season was, I just love to shop. Shopping. Put me in a gas station.
Shopping at 7-Eleven.
I'll shop anywhere I need to be.
My favorite thing is, look, I'm not rooting for Kyle. Obviously, I think Kyle's an asshole. Everybody knows that, okay? And I know it gets a little annoying and monotonous to listen to. But I was actually this year rooting for Kyle because Kyle finally had a story of her own. Lesbianism. I mean, I was so excited for her. Like, she's going to leave Mo and run off with a fucking country star half her age? Yes. I was like, Kyle is going to finally have a story. You're even bungling this. It's like the best thing to happen on Housewives in ages, and you're bungling it.
I agree. I was excited because I feel like one issue I've had with Kyle is that she's not her authentic self. And I've always said that season 1 Kyle was the most authentic version of Kyle. She would go hot and cold, and it was great to watch. And but then she became aware of the audience. She became aware of her image, and she keeps things sort of in, and she sort of simpers a lot on screen. Like, I just feel bad, and she stirs the pot, but then she goes, "It's not my fault. I didn't do anything. I just feel kind of bad." And it's kind of annoying. I don't think it's the real Kyle, and I was excited because it looked like at the beginning of the season, authentic, real Kyle was going to come back to us, and she was going to say, "You know what? I'm sick of this. I'm done trying to curry the favor of the audience. It doesn't work, so I'm just going to be me." But then she just goes back to being the Kyle that we've known for the past 12 years.
And also, I feel robbed because I feel like I really like Morgan. I've loved every minute of Morgan on this screen. What'd you say?
Hey, Kyle. Will you go get a tattoo on me? Okay, I guess I can lay a tattoo on me, Kyle.
I mean, I love it. I love her song about fucking somebody on a kitchen floor. I love her song about snorting coke off some Real Housewives stomach or some Real Housewives snorting coke off her stomach at the Chateau Marmont, which by the way,
love her song about baked beans.
Kyle was just sure to be photographed with Morgan last night. Guess where? At Chateau Marmont. So it's very subtle, Kyle. Very subtle hints that you're dropping over there. But I really like Morgan, and I feel that we were robbed of a character. I need Morgan, the girlfriend. Get her on this show.
Yeah, she sure is pretty. And is
I love when Morgan just goes,
Hey, Kyle, you sure are pretty being a Hollywood famous person and stuff. You want me to come over there and sing a song for you? Yeah, no, I agree. Morgan's fine.
Bring
She's
Morgan.
totally fine.
I love her.
So Andy is like, all right, well, let's get back to the actual point. Let me just take 5 minutes to remember if there was an actual point. Oh, yeah. Do the other women think that Kyle was insinuating that Sutton had a drinking problem? Which was actually not the point at all, but they've made it that. So Crystal's like, I would say that was more Dorit who was saying that. So Dorit, do you think that she has a drinking problem?
Do I think either one of us was insinuating that she... No, Dorit, that's not the question. The question is, do you think she has a drinking problem? Clearly you do, so just say it. And she's like, well, how should I know? I'm not in a glass that she's mauling. And Sutton's like, well, I'm not going to defend myself anymore because I think we can all say that I do not have a drinking problem. Whew. And it's ridiculous. God, you smell like an olive. Did you have a blue cheese in that one?
I don't think you have a drinking problem. I mean, we will never know why you fall in so many gutters. Maybe you have a balance issue.
Say it. Say it clearly. Say it louder. Say it louder. Say it again.
Do I think that you slur? Perhaps, but maybe it's because you never got the speech therapy that you so desperately needed as a child. Or you're just drunk all day. Who knows? I never said it was a problem.
And I haven't got evidence that you're not drunk or that you're drunk. What am I supposed to know? All I know is that you like the things that have been kept in bottles until the point they turn into alcohol. And what can I say? You like fermented liquids.
I'm not here to say whether or not you drink too much. All I know is I think it's a miracle that when you were a professional ballet dancer, you didn't jeter into the audience by accident.
And Sutton's like, well, I think you need to say that I'm not an alcoholic. Well, I can say this. You're not an alcoholic. Okay? Now listen, I can say this for sure about Sutton. Sutton does not have a drinking problem necessarily, but Sutton also does not have a problem drinking. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying that her favorite movie is Leaving Las Vegas, but then again, at the same time, I think it might be a tough watch for her for reasons that have something to do with her proclivities, but I'm not saying she has a problem whatsoever.
So, and she's like, you better say it. And she's like, but I can't. I don't know. I'm not psychic. And Sutton's like, well, I don't know if you have a drinking problem either. Cock is out. Okay, yeah. So now that somebody orders a drink, now they're an alcoholic. I mean, come on, you're not winning with this.
Yeah, I'd like to see how many carcasses are on the floor every night. But you don't have to worry about that because PK eats all the rinds. So then Andy is like, all right, well, I want to move on to something else. This group famously loves a theme party, and Kyle's wheat dinner took things to a new, get it?
So this is the Denise segment, but without Denise, which is kind of pointless, you know? So this is all about Denise showing up and being crazy. And Andy's like, so what was going through everyone's mind when she said to you, watch the show? What are you thinking? Because that was crazy. Someone calling out that it was a television show on television? Nuts.
Well, I kept on saying to her, you can't say that. And Kyle's like, yeah, well, I was like, we can't watch the show right now. We're having dinner. And they're like, yeah, we're on the show right now. Got it. Yeah.
And whose children aren't on OnlyFans, it's called having a job, you fucking shaming losers, says, guys, clearly Denise is really mad about the Brandy hookup rumor that you brought onto camera last season. And since Rinna, Teddy, and Brandy aren't around, she's taking it out on Erica. Okay, well, Andy, this is where I need you to kind of like be a little more present because that was totally brought on by Kyle, that whole storyline. So why aren't you asking Kyle about it? She's sitting right there, and Lord knows no one took her to task for it last year. I mean, I know it's a year late, but 2 years late? When was that? That was 2 years ago.
Never
right?
Too late. Never
That's
too late.
But I mean, if you're going to bring it up, Kyle's here to confront about it. So why couldn't Denise confront Kyle about it instead of Erica?
Yeah. So Dorit's like, I think that's very spot on. Sort of like the accusations about Sutton's drinking, which I never said myself personally. So Andy's like,
listen, it's as spot on as the spots on Sutton's arm from drinking so much. The drinking liver spots. It's as spot on as the liver spots on Sutton.
It's as spot on as someone saying to Sutton, you should go to AA. So Andy is like...
It's also nose on that. Very, very on.
But I never said that. I would never insinuate such a thing. So he's like, well, I kind of thought that too. I mean, but then I wondered why she didn't say it to you, Erica. Like, hey, like you didn't have my back at any level regarding that. I'm like, why are you questioning why Denise never like articulated something properly for herself? Like that is Denise's thing.
That's Denise's whole vibe, dude. And Kyle's like, maybe she just don't want to talk about it again. And Erica's like,
hold on, I excused myself when she singled me out at the barbecue, and that's why I didn't have her back. Okay.
And so Andy's like, oh, Dorit, what was going through your mind when you were talking to Crazy Pants Denise, trying to correct her on her coat being upside down? And then we cut to the best scene of the season of Dorit going, is your coat on backwards? I mean, you know, is your coat on backwards? Is yours Dorit?
Mine? She's like, yeah, I don't give a flying ass fuck about a jacket.
Fuck jackets. Just take it down now. Don't do this to me, Dorit. Do not, Dorit.
It's funny literally every single time they show it.
Every single time. And even when she showed up in the finale and didn't do anything but get offended, that killed me too. When they were like, wasn't it Dorit again? It was like, wait, we're supposed to be wearing white. It's a white party. It's like, well, I'm wearing white under the pink, but it's a white party. And she walks out. She's like, well, fucking ever. What the fuck out? I can't win with these fucking bitches.
Dorit's like, you know, to this day, I don't know what's bothering her. Maybe she was put off by Sutton's drinking. I'm not sure. But what was she thinking? I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. And Kyle's like, she was thinking that you were like being a mean girl, I guess, and saying her jacket was upside down, you know? And Garcelle's like, well, I think that she feels like every time you see her, you're, you know, trying to fix something on her or trying to get her off kilter. I mean, I think that that's true. But in this case... her jacket was on upside down, and it's so Denise to still not even realize that and just be like, what? She was coming for me.
Yeah, I don't know. So Erica's like, yeah, she thought he was setting her up. So Andy's like, well, at BravoCon 2022, Erica predicted Dorit and PK were headed to Splitsville, but was Erica just being a showman, or was she actually onto something? Let's take a look.
Oh, God. And then they show the clip of Erica Jane dressed like Baby Jane. It was very cringy. And so Dorit, Andy asked Dorit, he's like, okay, well, this year, Dorit, you underwent a style transformation. You're brunette and you are wearing less logos. You know, Yves from Not Saint Laurent anymore said, being blonde gets expensive between the new brown hair and the toned down outfit. I'm thinking PK put Dorit on a budget. And the whole stage is like, oh no, boo.
It's like they're all just imagining Gina Kirschenheiter with her like stick in her bindle, be like, come to the casita, Dorit.
And Erica's like, oh, please, she's still wearing expensive shit. And Dorit's like, well, nobody puts baby on a budget. One thing doesn't have to do with the other. The dark hair, it's called PTSD, Andy. PTSD. That's what it is.
Hold on 1 second. I need to step away for 30 seconds.
Oh, no. I thought that was part of the show. I'm like, when did Dorit step away for 30 seconds? That never happened on the show. So I guess I'm just supposed to sit here and do this alone. All right. So Andy starts to yawn as Dorit starts her PTSD journey. And she's like, yawning? Don't you dare. Do not you dare, Andy. Don't you dare, Andy. And he can't stop because, it's like in the middle of the yawn where it just keeps going and going. How could you do this to me again, Andy? And they show the clips of the past 3 reunions where he is yawning at her. Am I boring you? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Andy?
Sorry about that. So, where are we? What are you talking about?
I'm literally 2 lines into it. We're just talking about where Andy yawns at Dorit.
What's funny is that I come back to you saying, am I boring you? Am I boring you? And I'm like, that could be literally any part of the episode, Dorit. Am I boring you right now?
So Andy's like, well, okay, I'm sorry about that. I couldn't help it. She says, okay, well, I guess I'll make this quickly. I'll make this quick since I'm boring you. And so he's like, so you're not on a budget? She's like, no, I'm not on a budget. But my husband, he goes, okay, so you are on a budget. She's like, no, I'm not on a budget.
All right, well, I don't know what you just said because I just had a micro nap. So, well, we learned at the start of the season that you were recovering from yet another horrific robbery that you somehow, which, by the way, I totally forgot about this robbery. So there were a lot of questions about the details. Windshield from wipers should be replaced every 6 months, says, I read Dorit said that $10,000 in cash was for Christmas bonuses for Santa. I don't understand why she brought it into the store and left it in the shopping cart.
Well, here's the answer, Andy. And Windex from wipers. When I was driving home to do the Christmas bonuses, I thought, I don't know if I have enough. Oh, I remember. I saw box cards. I'm going to stop quickly and pick up box cards. So I went to Marshall's, and they're like, what?
I'm like, the whole stage is like, Marshall? Pennies? Do you mean Penny Marshall?
All right, you know what? Maybe Cal has a point, because I must be wasted right now to be hearing these words.
And he's like, wow, Dorit goes to Marshall. She says, I love Marshalls and Home Goods. Hope they give me an ad soon. I know they're sponsoring Bravo poor people at the moment. Not that I'm poor.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Another poor person destination I just love going to. I'm not on a budget, but I am going to Marshall's.
This whole Dorit trying to convince us she's not poor while trying to get a sponsorship to Marshall's is hilarious. I mean, I was dying. And also to blame the robbery on being at a poor person place, right? She's like,
well, I was at Marshall's, Auntie, which is why I was targeted by 3 men who followed me and stole my $10,000, which I didn't even notice until I got up to the front counter with my box cards.
We did identify the men. One was named T, one was named J, and the other one was named Max.
He was quite dirty, but not triple X, just double. Still not something you'd want to watch with the children. But I digress, Andy.
We heard that their getaway driver was someone named Ross, I believe.
Hello there. This is a 2-part recap, okay? This is the end of part 1. So thank you so much for listening to this. Just come back a little later for part 2.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors. Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Stroll in the park with Caitlin Clark.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas. She's never scary, it's the Green Fairy. Jamie, she has no last namey.
Hava Nagila Weber. Know your worth with Jason Kurth.
She's the wind beneath our Jennifer Wing.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's always supplying, it's Kelly Ryan.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
The Bay Area Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall.
She's not harsh, she's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly, it's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender. We want to hang with Liz Lang. The incredible edible Matthews sisters.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
She's the queen bee, it's Sarah Lemke.
Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She's quite the catch, it's Victoria Cotchett.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.
Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen ad-free with Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.